Gen 7! So, first of all, before we get into this, if I sound out of breath, if I breathe like this, just know because I filmed like 2 videos and a live stream before this, so I am exhausted and my voice is drained. But in order to get this out before tomorrow, August 15th, August 13th, I need to get it up before August 15th, because then I need to focus all of my things into the second channel, because that is a very special day. If you know what it is, you know what it is. So I'm getting this done early for the later half of the month. Gen 7 is my favorite Pokemon generation, so this was a very nice tier list to do. Surprisingly, a lot of Pokemon ended up in, like, the neutral and good tier. But, like, less than I was expecting, but also more. Because I thought the more Pokemon would be in, like, great and best of the best tier. But we'll get to that when we get to that. This list also includes all of the Alolan forms, because that is the gen that they were introduced. To me, they are Gen 7 Pokemon. Like, Alola Rattata is a Gen 7 Pokemon, not a Gen 1 Pokemon. And, as you probably see, just like how the good tier and neutral tier were bigger, the not a fan and bad tier are bigger than the last video. And if you were wondering why, it was because there was only one Pokemon I disliked from Gen 6. If you want to know who, go back to the last video. Yeah, that's right, I'm leaving you on a cliffhanger. But we should probably get into this, starting with the bad tier, and I believe that there's 4 Pokemon that have earned their spot in the bad tier. Starting with my least favorite Gen 7 Pokemon, Bruxish. Which, I mean, it was designed to be ugly, so of course I think it's ugly. I think it's extremely ugly, actually. I also think it just has a bad design. Like, I see what they were going with, and I think they could have done it better. They could have done it worse, too, but they definitely could have done it better. It's pointless, it's kind of bad in battle. Like, it's okay, but, like, you would never use it over, like, literally any other water type. Because there are a lot of them. It's something about the teeth. I don't know. Like, when I look at Bruxish, it's just the teeth, you know? The big, sharp, dagger-looking teeth. It's something just like, I don't like Bruxish, and I don't think I'm alone in saying that. And then we have Crabominable, who has a bad design. I know, surprising. And actually, everything else about it is okay. I like its typing, I think it's pretty cool. I actually like the origin of the Yeti Crab, where it like goes up to the mountain of terrain and then turns into a Yeti. I like everything except for the design, and it's my second least favorite Pokemon of Gen 7. So, the design means a lot to me, and when it's as atrocious as Crabominable is designed, then you know that you did something wrong. But that's it for Crabominable. Now we have Cosmoem, who is literally useless. It serves no purpose. Like, the only moves you get is, like, Splash, Teleport, and Ancient Power. No, and Cosmic Power. Ancient Power would be a good move. So, like, the only thing you could do with it is what? Like, Ally Switch with another Pokemon and then have it tank a hit? I don't know. Like, you have to be extremely creative to make it even somewhat useful. And you guys know I just don't like the Cocoon Pokemon. Like, in Gen 1, I didn't like Cocoon or Metapod. And, like, I don't care for Spoopa that much. I don't care for, like, other Cocoon ones that definitely exist. But I just don't like them, you know? Kind of bad. Next up, we have Alolan Persian, who is easily the worst Alolan form, including Alolan Meowth. That's the least Alolan form line, in my opinion. What's with the head? That's all I have to say. It's a literal watermelon. I know at this point it's been run to the ground, but why is its head so, like, oval? Like, it's so big. Like, it just takes away from the design. And aside from that, I kind of dislike the vibe that Alolan Persian gives off, like the mob boss. Like, I liked it better when it was regular Persian, because it's like mob boss, but it's like a believable cat. When you see a mob boss and it has a head like that, then it just doesn't work for me, and it kind of throws the vibe off for Alolan Persian. Which also throws off the overall design overall. And with that, we can move on to the not a fan tier, which we have 2 speedruns, because there's a lot of them, as per usual, unless you're Gen 6. Every other gen, I believe, has had at least, like, 5 in the not a fan tier, except for Gen 6. So there's a fun fact for you. So I'll give, like, a rough, like, 1 to 2 thing for each Pokemon here, because usually, not a fan tier can boil down to, I don't like them, but I don't think they're the worst. And we're going to start with Shiinotic, which is terrifying. Moving on. Alolan Mouth is kind of the same thing as Persian, or Alolan Persian, I should say, with the mob boss thing. I don't like the overall vibe it gives off. And then we have Celesteela, which is the one and only Ultra Beast I truly dislike, which is kind of weird, because, you know, usually Ultra Beasts kind of get a bad rap, but I actually quite like, or am neutral to, most of the Ultra Beast designs, and this is the only one that I truly dislike. And then we have Trumbeak, and we can wrap Hakamo in here too. They're just kind of ugly middle stage Pokemon that I'm never ever gonna like, and that's just a theme that we're gonna have to live with throughout this whole series. And then we have Drampa, which, I don't know, Drampa is just kind of not my thing. I like my dragons to be, you know, like, intimidating, and Drampa being like a normal dragon, kind of underwhelming, you know? I wish it was like cooler, or like had a better origin or something, you know, just something for Drampa, you know? And then we have Zeraora, which doesn't look like a Pokemon to me, and that throws me off. I don't hate the design, just doesn't look like a Pokemon to me. Gumshoes. See, with Gumshoes, I could say the usual for like, oh my god, I hate the rat of this region because it's so annoying and bad designed and typing. No, that's all fine. I don't mind Gumshoes. Just why is it everywhere in Sun and Moon? Like every route of the game, you have a Gumshoes or a Yungoos, and it drives me crazy. And this overall Pokemon that would go in the neutral tier gets bumped down to not a fan just because of how common it is in the game. Even for a regional rodent that are usually supposed to be common. It's like in the game too much. And then finally, question mark? No, not finally, just the end of the page. Tapu Bulu is, see, this is the problem. I can't think of anything wrong with Tapu Bulu. I just have a personal bias against it. Because in my original copy of Sun, it was one of the last, like, 3 Pokemon I needed for the Pokedex that I never got. Because I can never figure out the stupid, desert maze. And I never thought to look it up because I was, like, a dumb 10-year-old in 2016. So, like, why would I look it up? And I don't know, Tapu Bulu just kind of annoys me, and I've never liked it since. Moving on to the next page, we have Brionne, which I actually really like the Primarina line. I know it's kind of hated, but I kind of like it. Brionne I don't like. So, I wish it wasn't, like... I wish it wasn't so Brionne, you know? Like, Brionne is such a... weird Pokemon to me. Like, I really can't describe how I feel about it. All I can say is I wish it was less Brionne. And I wish it wasn't an ugly middle stage starter. And then we have Passimian, and I guess Oranguru too. Just not for me. I never cared for monkeys in real life, and I don't really care for them in Pokemon. I get why you like them, if you do. I just don't, because monkeys aren't for me. But that's it. That's all for the Pokemon I disliked this gen. Now we're into the neutral tier, which, you guessed it, all of the Pokemon in this tier, I am neutral towards. That, or I think that they are okay. And we start with the fully evolved Pokemon that are like, eh. We have like Oricorio and like Rock and yada yada yada. I don't need to list like 5 of them like I usually do. And more interestingly, we have a couple of Legends and Ultra Beasts. We have Magearna, Tygnul, Pheromosa, Kartana, Buzzwole, and Tapu Lele. And an interesting thing about the Tapus is if you pay attention from here on out, each Tapu is in a different tier. So, you know, pretty definitively, I have a worst to best Tapu list just in the tiers themselves. Which, you know, is pretty cool, actually. And I believe that's the end. I didn't do, like, a line or anything, but I think that's into the neutral tier. Now we're going to move on to the good tier. And unlike the previous videos, I can give you, like, a couple of reasons why I like each and every one of these Pokemon, if I really wanted to. Although, I don't want to drag this video on for too terribly long, you know. This video is not one that's going to get everybody's views the whole time. They're going to click on it, see their favorite Pokemon, click off, so I'm not going to go into in-depth about every single Pokemon. But I could tell you one reason why I like each and every one of these Pokemon, whether it's like cute, strong, well-designed, whatever it may be. But I will talk about the Great Tier, because I usually like to talk about all the Pokemon in that tier. And as per usual, I'll break them down into like subcategories within said tier. So we have cool legendaries is the first one. We have Melmetal, which there's a hair on my mouth. Can I get this out, please? I got it out. Yeah, so Melmetal. Melmetal I like. It's not really a Gen 7 Pokemon to me, it's a Pokemon Go Pokemon. So, like, it's often confused with it's Gen 7 or Gen 8, but I agree that it's a Gen 7 Pokemon. I like Meltan too. I think it's cute. But I do think that Melmetal has a really cool design, and I really like how it looks. There's a couple of Ultra Beasts. There's Blacephalon, Stakataka. I'll loop these two together. Blacephalon and Stakataka I like because of the card game. I have a Blacephalon GX. I actually really like that card. And then Stakataka is on my favorite Sun and Moon set in Celestial Storm. So, you know, I have a soft spot for Stakataka. I forgot the name. Xurkitree, I think, is one of the better designed Ultra Beasts. Yeah, it doesn't have a vase, so it can't, like, emotionalize, and it is just Christmas lights. But I think it actually looks really cool with how, like, the bulb on top works and all the wires and plug sockets and stuff. Like I said in a previous video with Electivire, I had a fake Pokemon when I was little called Plugzel, and it was a plug outlet, so any Pokemon that has a plug outlet on it has a special place in my heart. Then for the last Ultra Beast, we also have Nihilego, which is my favorite Ultra Beast. I think it's because of the role it played in Sun and Moon. You know, Lusamine being crazy for it, and then Mother Beast Ultra Lusamine being absolutely insane, and a very memorable battle. And I also just kind of like the design. Most of the Ultra Beasts are kind of like weird, or like sexy cockroaches. So, you know, if we're going straight up weird, I like weird, and I like Nihilego's kind of weird, rather than like a Celesteela kind of weird, you know? Less humanoid, more animal-like. That's what I like in my Ultra Beasts. And then we also have Tapu Koko. Talked about it earlier with Tapu Lele. Each of the Tapus are in a different tier. I like the typing. I think Fairy Electric is the coolest of all the Tapus. If I had to pick a second, I'd say Grass Fairy is the next coolest, although I don't like Tapu Bulu, so look how that worked out. I think it has a really cool design. I used Tapu Koko on my team in Sun and Moon. Coffee Bean, I believe was his name. I did not notice until I replayed Sun and Moon that you actually have to catch him in part of the story. So if you're in Sun and Moon and you don't have any Pokeballs before the league, buy some, because as soon as you beat the league, you have to fight Tapu Koko in an unskippable cutscene. So as a heads up, bring Pokeballs, because I didn't, and I almost lost it. Yeah, is there anything else I wanted to say? I guess I'll talk about Tapu Fini too. I think Tapu Fini's pretty well designed. It's in the good tier. Since I'm talking about all the Tapus, I might as well. Tapu Fini is... I really like the shell, because all of them have like a shell of some kind. Like Tapu Koko's a bird, Lele's a woman, I don't know, and Bulu's a bull. I really like how it's like a swordfish clamshell. I think that's really cool. I also think the inner Pokemon being like completely filled out, like similar to Tapu Koko, instead of Lele's where it's just its waist kind of cut off, if I'm making any sense. I like the ones where it like shows its full body, and I like how it's like the mermaid in the shell. You know, maybe if I did this again, I'd move it up to Great Tier, but it's very late for that now. I'm going to talk about Silvally too, because I realized I need to drag this video out longer. Mainly because I want it to be like around the 20-minute mark, and we're only 13 minutes in it. I have like 2 more Pokemon to talk about. Silvally, I think, is interesting. It's also in the Great Tier, but it's not fantastic. I really like the concept of the Aether Foundation creating a Beta Arceus, if you would. And I appreciate that they did that again, where it's actually accessible, because at the time, Arceus was very, very limited in what it was out in. Obviously, now we have things such as Arceus and BDSP, but at the time, Arceus was very hard to find. So I appreciate what they were going with that. Anyway, side tangent over, back to the Great Tier. Let's talk about the cute ones. So we have Litten. Usually I don't care for the fire starters, but I think that Litten is the best of its line. I think it's cute. We have Alolan Sandshrew, and I think I like Alolan Sandshrew because it was my first ever Master Buddy or whatever it's called in Pokemon Go. Igloo. So I love Alolan Sandshrew. I think it's pretty cute. And Alolan Vulpix is probably the cutest Alolan form and one of the cutest Pokemon ever. I love Vulpix as it is, so you make it snow, and that's fantastic. Ninetales I care for less, but I still think it's pretty cool. And then we have Togedemaru, which is probably my favorite Pikachu clone. I like how it's Steel Electric instead of just like normal electric. I like how they're starting to do it with the Pikachu clones, and I'm worried for Palmy because it doesn't look like it's dual typed. Because obviously we had Fairy Electric for Dedenne, Steel Electric for Togedemaru, and like Semi-Dark Electric for Morpeko. So I worry for Palmy. I also hope Palmy evolves, maybe break the cycle, but we're not at Gen 9 yet. That's only 2 months away. Wow, that's crazy to think about. But yeah, Togedemaru, pretty cool, That's all I have to say for it. And then we have Fomantis, and I've always had like a soft spot for the Fomantis line. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. It's because I love grass types. You probably predicted that before I even said it. I think it's really cute. I really like actually really like praying mantises, and I'm not a big bug guy, so that's a lot coming from me. Like, I hate spiders, and I hate like mosquitoes. I hate flies. Like, I hate most insects, but praying mantises, really cool. Big fan of praying mantises. So always cool to see a Pokemon version of that. And then we have like the fully evolved Pokemon that have like a great design or a great typing or something. Alolan Marowak, I think is really cool how it has like the fire in the bones. I just used one called Kokio with a K in my Pokemon Moon playthrough that I'm doing right now. Kokio is a Hawaiian flower, for those of you who don't know. Because, he's a Hawaiian hula dancer. I thought that was a cool name. And I really like how it's ghost type, because you really wouldn't see that coming. But I'm really glad they did that, because I think that's unique. Fire Ghost, you wouldn't expect it from Alola and Marowak. And then Alolan Sandslash, kind of going with the same thing as Alolan Sandshrew, although it is probably my favorite Alolan form, just because of Pokemon Go, which is really impressive. But it also has grown on me vastly over time since then. I used one called Mario for a little bit in my Moon playthrough I just talked about before dumping it, because sorry, Ice Steel is an awful type for the playthrough. It's a cool type, don't get me wrong, but it's an awful type for the game. Then we have Vikavolt, which surprises me, because I never usually care for the regional bugs. I mean, I like Scolipede, but like, that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head that I really like. I mean, Stew the Beautifly is awesome, but like, I don't love Beautifly as a whole. And Vikavolt is like really cool. I think Electric Bug is a really good choice for a regional bug. Grubbin's adorable. I don't know why I didn't put it in the gray tier, actually. And I just wish it wasn't so slow, Like, that really low speed stat really doesn't make me want to use him in the game. And the late evolution in Sun and Moon, what were they thinking? Making it, like, almost the end of the game to evolve them, so you're going to be using a Charge-a-Bug for the whole playthrough? Like, I don't know what they were doing with that. Just make it, like, a Level Up or a Thunderstone like they did in later games. I don't know, that's just kind of a side rant. Then we have Mimikyu, which I adore the concept of. I don't really care for, like... I'm not in love with Mimikyu, but I adore the concept of it, like, putting Pikachu on its head to disguise itself, to make it people love it, because it's like a hideous ghost that, like, you disappear if you ever see it or whatever. I really like that. It also has a really cool typing, Ghost Fairy. Makes a lot of sense, because, it's a playful ghost, wants to be loved, but it's also a horrifying ghost. So, win, lose, it's evil, it's good. It's pretty great, and I love Mimikyu. And then we also have Dartrix, which is here because of both my love for grass types, grass starters, and my special place in my heart for the Rowlet line. One of my favorite Pokemon lines. I think that every member of that line, including the Hisuian form, absolutely phenomenal, and I love them all with a passion. But now, I believe we're getting closer to 20 minutes. Maybe I shouldn't have dragged this out as much as I did, but that's potato. It's in the past now. We have the S tier, best of the best tier, where I talk about my absolute favorite Pokemon from this gen. And let's actually start with the cool fun fact. So for once, both of the box art legendaries are actually in the best of the best tier. I really love both Solgaleo and Lunala. I think they're both fantastically designed Pokemon. I do slightly prefer Solgaleo though, but I do think they have both great designs. They both have great designs. I'll try and correct my grammar when I can. I think their typings are pretty cool. Solgaleo is more than Lunala, although it should have been a Steel Fire type like Heatran. That would have been cooler. But I guess it makes sense because of the main theming being like the cosmic deity of the sun and the moon. All that cool stuff, which is another really cool thing about them is that they have really cool origins, the sun and the moon, and they're like ancient deities that evolved from like this little pom-pom cosmic guy called Cosmog, and it's like, wow, it's crazy. So I really love that cosmic vibe that they give off. Now we have Primarina. which is a fairly controversial Pokemon in terms of, like, best Final Evolve starters. And usually I don't have more than one Final Evolve starter in my tier. I believe the only other one I had was, I had Swampert and Blaziken in Gen 3. Don't quote me on that. But other than that, I don't think I've put more than one starter line in the best of the best tier. But that breaks today because I really love Primarina. Not so much Poplio, not so much Brionne, but Primarina itself is phenomenal. Mainly because of the battle power it has, not so much because of the design. Design's alright. I think it's, elegant, pretty, but it's not something I would, like, gravitate towards as a Pokemon design. But the Water Fairy type, especially for a playthrough, where you fight, like, dragons and dark types all the time, absolutely amazing. It has a great moveset, and, like, Liquid Voice is an amazing ability. So, like, this proves that you don't have to be, like, my favorite design Pokemon to be in the best of the best tier. You can be really good in battle, and I really like you, and you could be in here, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Next is Lurantis, which I already talked about Fomantis a little bit. Except for this one I like a little bit more. A, because it's fully evolved and stronger. B, it's a cooler design. C, it's pink, and I actually really like the shade of pink they used for it. I think it's really unique for a grass type. And D, I really like the concept. Surprise, surprise. I like a Pokemon because of the concept. But no. So in real life, there's these things called orchid or orchid mantises. I'm not 100% sure. And they are mantises that disguise themselves as pink plants to, like, stay away from, like, birds and stuff as predators. So you flip that around, and Fomantis is a plant that disguises itself as an insect to not get eaten by, I don't know, whatever eats grass. And I think that is such a cool idea. Like, it's such a simple turnaround, but I think that the concept and execution is just so good, and I love Lurantis. Now we're on to the top 4, both of which are in pairs. So we have Diglett up first, Alolan Diglett, I should say. Who is still a legend, even with the 3 sprouts of hair and darker color he has. I mean, it's still Diglett, and I love Diglett. So, Alolan Diglett gets S tier. And Wiglet, just you wait till we get to Wiglet. And then I guess we should move on to its evolution, Alolan Dugtrio, which is really, really hated. Which he might be surprised that it's in my best of the best tier. And that is because I love it. I don't think a Pokemon has to be, like, super serious to be one of my favorites, I really like Diglett, and I love Alolan Dugtrio because I think it's funny. And I think it'll be hilarious if Wiglet's evolution has hair. Because everybody will be so upset, and I'll be so happy. But as for Alolan Dugtrio itself, it has a really funny design, and it's actually surprisingly good in battle. It gets, like, Iron Head and stuff, so it is better, probably not competitively, but in my opinion, than regular Dugtrio. And it'll always have a special place in my heart. Obviously, Diggy, very generic name, I know. It's better than Doug, the Dugtrio from Let's Go. But Alolan Dugtrio, I called Diggy in my original Sun playthrough. And then I also had a Mario Maker level for the 3DS called Diggy the Diglett. And there was an end part of it where, like, you went over Alolan Dugtrio in Mario Maker. And I made that when I was in, like, I don't know, 3rd grade or whatever, so, always has a special place in my heart. Nostalgic place in my heart, but a place nonetheless. And wow, we are almost done. So now we have the Decidueye line, just the 2 of them. So we start with Decidueye, who is an absolute BA. I really love the design. I think it has a really cool design. I mean, you should have seen this coming, that I love the grass starters. I really need to see Sprigatito's final evolution so I can make that decision. Because I've been Team Fuecoco for a long time, and now I'm leaning towards Sprigatito again. But that's not this video. I'm talking about the Decidueye, who is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, obviously. And I just love all grass starters, except for, like, maybe Sceptile. And I am not huge on Superior, but other than that, I really love all the grass starters. And the secondary Ghost type, really cool. Really love Ghost types, so, add 2 of my favorite types together, you get one of my favorite Pokemon. And it's a grass starter, that's just, like, a recipe for success. And I do also really love the Hisuian form. Although that'll be next video in the Gen 8 video, assuming I can find a tier list with all the assuming Pokemon on it. But that's problem for another day. And overall, I just really love Decidueye. I think it has a really cool design. And of course, taking us back to our Gen 1 roots of being a non-fully evolved starter's best, we have my precious baby boy, Rowlet. And Rowlet is absolutely incredible. I know all of you, okay, all of you's a stretch. A lot of you also love Rowlet, and I really love Rowlet. It's adorable, first of all. And owls are actually really cool. Owls are another one of my favorite animals. So having a grass starter that's an owl and being cute, oh, so cool. Also, as a side note, the color scheme not being like green is great. It's the only grass starter that's not green, as far as I know. Maybe Chestnut? Yeah, Chestnut's not green. And if you, certain spreads of Bulbasaur make it look blue. But overall, most of them are like pure green. And I think that's really nice how it's like a brown color, you know, changing it up. Because obviously not all like types of grass are going to be green, you know. There's some parts of nature that are all sorts of colors. And I mean, he has a gosh darn bow tie, people. How could you not love that? And that is, of course, the main reason I love Rowlet. But that also does make him my favorite Gen 7 Pokemon. And really close to the top of my favorite Pokemon of all time. But that'll be after the Gen 9 video. That's right, I'm not sure if I've announced this before, but after we do Gen 9, I'm going to do a kind of wrap-up video of this. Maybe one or two, where I rank all the gens together in one mega tier list. Every tier except for the neutral and good tier, I'll like re-rank with every Pokemon in every tier that I've ever done in any video. All together. But I'm rambling on. That is the end of Gen 7. I hope you enjoyed another video, Pokemon tier list video. I can't believe we're almost done with this. For me right now, all I have to do is Gen 8, get that out in November, and then Scarlet and Violet are out. Like, this whole series was to keep me occupied till Scarlet and Violet by talking about a Pokemon Gen a month, except for July, but we don't talk about that. And we're almost done. Yeah, literally next month, we're caught up until, you know, Scarlet and Violet come out. Maybe I'll do it like the day before Scarlet and Violet come out, so I can be caught up for one day. Who knows? But I'm going to wrap things down here before I go for on too long. Thank you all for watching. Take care of yourselves. Mental health is important. Stay tuned for November for the next Pokemon tier list video, Gen 8. And all the Galar forms and, you know, yada yada, singing Pokemon, whatever's in Gen 8. Hope you all have a happy Halloween, as it is very close to Halloween by the time this goes out. And a very happy November that will come. And if you're watching this in the future, hope you enjoyed. And if you're watching this now, I'm going to wrap things down. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye-bye!